Okay, what's up, guys? We're here at Chris Forsberg's house again for another episode of What Makes You Drift, and today we're going to talk to Chris Forsberg, and he'll tell us his, backstory of drifting and what, kept him in drifting, what got him into it. And I'd just like to say one thing. Chris was a big inspiration for me 8 years ago now when I met him, and how, down to earth, nice he was, humble he was, and that he was accepting and be like, hey, a new guy, come to the track days with me. And he definitely inspired me to continue trying and then to try to take it further than just a fun drifter. Okay, so here's Chris Forsberg.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I wasn't just awkwardly standing here listening to that the whole time. But I see you're done talking to my roommate, so thanks for the invite on the show.
Yeah.
But this is my spot. We're back in California and pumped about it. It is warm. I'm wearing a t-shirt and everyone else is freezing out on the East Coast, so happy about that. But the driveway spot is cool. Got room for my trailer and the 2 Datsuns, of course, and inside the garage, a bunch of extra parts, spare stuff for the demo cars. Kind of keep those on a constant rotation as well. So it's nice having the extra space, and just love being back out here.
Cool. I know we're not here to talk about this car, but we should show him the engine bay because this car's crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted to bring him out because you were a big help for this car. We still got the old RAD logo on that one and on this one as well, because we built both of these at your shop, so I figured it was more than appropriate to have these things kind of hanging out. But this
a lot of billet.
Yeah, this thing is sweet, and like I said, we did this over at your shop. You did some of the welding for me too. Helped out with the front end. Welded on these little bungs and stuff for me. We used your XRP crimper to make all these lines, and used a couple of the other tools around your shop to put this thing together in time for SEMA next year.
This is one crazy street car, but you guys have probably seen it on Instagram.
Yeah, we don't need screen time on this one, but
if you
don't want to look at our ugly mugs the whole time,
don't know who Chris Forsberg is, then you probably aren't a fan of drifting. So so you know who he is. So we're gonna ask him the same questions we were asking other people. So Chris, what makes you drift?
Kind of like what you were talking about in the beginning of this little episode is, going out to the tracks and having fun with your bros, and that's how we met. You were just like another guy that was just truly passionate about drifting, and I like to see that energy because that's the same thing that drew me to the track. Just drifting's awesome. I love burning tires, love having fun, and so I was like, you're cool, let's go. And so just surrounding yourself with those kind of people, because drifting is all about the experience and not about just having the best car. And so guys like you and Dylan are the reasons why I like to go drifting, because it's the community, and then you go out and you get to drive together and actually put on a show together, and it's not just
when you're
exactly
on the
so
track together.
It's not only off the track us hanging out, but it's on the track when you're sticking to the other guy's door and you come off the run, you're fucking pumped. And so it's just that's the best part. That's what makes me drift.
Okay. That's I'm sure there's a bunch more to it. He's just answering quickly. There's so much because you've been drifting for how many years now? That's why I'm what keeps
18,
you drifting?
Yeah, 18 years now.
Yeah, he's like the father of drifting in America. You literally are.
We've been at it for a while. We started the first organized events out on the East Coast with Club Loose, these bros, and Matt Petty, he was the guy with the idea, and he went to Mike Knapp, and I was just lucky to be there at the right time to be hanging out with him as we pitched the idea of, hey, can we do burnouts in your parking lot? And 100% Mike Knapp was like, yep, you guys can have the parking lot for this Wednesday night randomly, and we'll just see how it goes. It was pouring rain, but still got 30 people to come out to the first event.
Jeez.
And that's where we met Turk and Vaughn. I was already friends with Tony Angelo at the time, but we made a lot of friendships and relationships out of that old parking lot, and those events are still going to this day, the longest lasting drifting events in the country. And so that was as you said, a long time ago. It was 2003 when those events were first taking place, but that was what really started for me and what made me appreciate the sport more, because that's when it wasn't just me and my buddies screwing around the street. Like I said, that was the event. That was the center, and where we all came together, met, hung out, and just started throwing down, and that's where the party started.
I think we need to make a parking lot drift event like that in Southern California.
Yeah, we migrated over to the track now, but you know, just to say that was the starting point.
I would still have. Well, what if there was a local? Well, anyways, we're getting sidetracked. Okay.
Yeah, like Angel
What, like
Stadium,
that-
like 10
or-
minutes
yeah.
away. Just like go out there like every Wednesday
That'd
night.
be so cool. Okay, well, moving on to the next question
Yeah.
was, what's the hardest part about drifting for you?
Mm.
Like, lots of people, for me, or like all of us would either be financially or time or,
Yeah.
you know, mechanical stuff, but yours is going to be different because you've been in it long enough to make, you know.
It's a tough question to answer because, like you said, there's, you know, depends on what day it is, you know, like, oh, am I dealing with, you know, some sponsor issues, you know, trying to get, you know, financing for the next season, or did we just come off a race weekend and just blow up 2 motors, you know, and it's just like now we're dealing with that. So yeah, hardest part definitely rotates, but I would say for me, being in it for so long is just trying to stay ahead, you know, because we're constantly paving new ground with, like, you know, going back to those, you know, very first events, like trying to find a parking lot, find a guy that's going to let us run events, and then it's like trying to build a car that no one's like really seen before. When we did the SR 350 when those things were brand new back in 2003, and then, you know, trying to like get into FD the very first year, finding partners to get out there, and then you're just constantly trying to keep your head above water and stay ahead of the pack so that you can run for this long, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, this is you know, very early on in your pro career, so for you it's like, you know, you're kind of like where I was back then, so you're just trying to figure out like how to get to the next event, you know, like dealing with like engine troubles and stuff, but like, you know, things that you're doing like these videos and, you know, having your own shop and basically being able to provide more than just a sticker on the car at the track is what's going to set you ahead from the rest. And so trying to always think about that.
Continue to
so that's where I've been for the past 10 years.
That's like a crazy way to think about it. Well, that's like eye-opening then. So
yeah.
It's
I mean, like when you start to run for this long, there's expectations, you know. It's like you can't just show up and wing it, you know. Like the long-standing relationships that we have are built off of those deliverables, if you want to call it that. I mean, that's a little too PC of a word for it, but, you know,
it makes sense.
Yeah,
and then be reliable of what they can expect from you, I guess.
Yeah, so like for me, like I try and extend my relationships as long as possible. Like NOS Energy Drink, that was started off with a case of drinks and a handshake back in 2006, and then it just like slowly evolved into, you know, we've been running with them since then. And my tire partners I would have for like 5 or 6 years each. I've been working with companies like Clarion since 2008, so it's coming on 10 years now. K&N since 2007, which is now AEM. But, you know, same groups of guys, you know. And SSR was one of my day one sponsors. I met those guys in the parking lot with the Signal Auto twins. That was my very early introduction to pro drifting, was the Signal Auto bros coming to E-Town to put on a show. And that's how I actually made the connections, got to California, and just like went knocking on their door like, hey guys, I'm here, I told you I was coming. And so like let's party. And so SSR being a division of Tanabe, I've been working with those guys since 03. So that's what I'm saying. So it's about, you know, making commitments, making partnerships, relationships. You know, you can't look at them as sponsors. You can't look at them as like, you know, what are you going to give me, you know, and I'll give you like the bare minimum. It's about, you know,
like you work for them, I guess, in a way. Yeah,
essentially. So, you know, you want to maintain those relationships, you want to over deliver, and you know, we got an intruder.
Monkey, do a flip. He's gonna run off and do a flip into the pool.
He's gonna jump into the pool.
Oh, he's a gargoyle.
Fully clothed, my phone in my pocket.
Okay, guys.
Well, now we have an audience.
Pretend that he's not there.
Because no one else is gonna watch this, right?
Yeah, no, this is just me and you.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I want to give all of our secrets out.
He's waving to the public.
Hello, peoples.
Howdy, neighbor.
One problem with like drift drivers is they all want a lot of attention. So okay, let's get back to what
Yeah.
Sorry.
we're all guilty of it. Okay, so then
Pretty much.
I think you could go longer on that question, but
yeah, no,
you might
really
be
kind of just like to wrap that up with
well, I have one other
statements.
question. Oh, 2 other questions, but going to the next one. what is the biggest okay, you had to make sacrifices to make this like goal and this dream and this life that you live come true. I know I've made sacrifices. If you don't like the word sacrifice, think of it a different way, but it's a sacrifice.
It is,
like,
yeah.
what are some that you went through along the years, or you could talk about your current sacrifices?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like different living situations. Like when I was my first years of going pro, back in 2005, I was living in a garage up in NorCal, so I didn't actually have a house. I was living out of my buddy's spot, and so we only had 3 walls to that room. So yeah, just kick open the garage door, let the raccoons in at night, and no big deal. But did that for about 5 or 6 months, and shortly before that, was actually living in a shop for a few months. So yeah, just trying to pull resources wherever possible, save a penny to put everything you got into the race program, because I mean, like you said, it's about sacrificing, and it's not the the word that a lot of people like to use for it, but it's investing all you have into your program to make it to the next level.
He probably, everything you just said is like very true, but he didn't say
It's all a lie.
Currently, he still has roommates, even to this day.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like this big dream life and everything's just paid for and perfect. Like, it's a continuous, like, give or take, and like you choose what you're gonna give and take.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I'd say it's a little different. With Dylan living here, it's more so, he helps me as much as I like to help him. So like he's trying to get up in the in the pro scene. No, I get it, but yeah, I'm saying, but like, yeah, it kind of goes back to, I'm willing to, give him a place to stay. He's helping with the race program, and so it's just like another, I wouldn't call it a sacrifice, but it's just like another situation that we put ourselves into, to helping him get his start up into the pro scene, and on the same hand, like he's helping with the fabrication on the pro cars, and so we're just, like I said, just all goes back to that community statement, how we started this whole thing off. Just, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and together we're going to get through it.
Yeah, and like, that makes sense. I currently still have roommates, so it's just how it's going to go,
One day you'll kick them out.
I don't know.
Unless you really like them, then they can stay.
Yeah, I guess
I like that guy, so he can stick around.
I think, yours are different than how mine are.
Easy there. Unless he breaks my light, then he's out of here.
Yeah, can't break anything. Well,
yeah, he's not really good at fixing things, so.
I don't know if you'll know the answer to this, but last question would be, do you see yourself doing competitive drifting one day?
Yeah, maybe. So this is a three-part series?
So that's the last question. I can't ask you that, but like, maybe like your first days of drifting, did you not think you would do competitive drift? I don't know, like, or you can come up with another.
It's funny because when I first got into drifting, I went straight to being a judge.
Before you did competition?
Before I ever competed. So in 2003, when Tony and I and Matt Petty and everyone was like getting the Club Loose events going to E-Town, there was an actual competition series called US Drift. And so they started their series up that year. They would do like West Virginia, Beaver Run out in Pittsburgh, and North Carolina down at Charlotte. And so we actually got asked to judge those events, since we were kind of like the guys
Tony?
that me, Tony, and Petty did a couple.
Raw? Wait.
Matt Petty.
Oh, Matt.
Yeah, and so yeah, like we like kind of rotated in and out. But yeah, so before I ever competed, I actually judged. So it's like same kind of situation when you are like helping to organize those events. Like someone's got to judge the first competitions, and so that was me at the time. So.
And then you're like, I want to drive more.
Yeah,
like,
and I was immediately like, this, not to say sucks, but I was like, I want to be, running. So, and then so I actually competed in the last US Drift round, went poorly. And so it was my first event in the 350Z. And so it was very underpowered. It was stock. A lot of people were out there running SRs and stuff, and I was like a bone stock 350Z. And so I didn't get far, I didn't podium or anything, but that was when I was like, yep, competitive drifting is more fun than judging. So that's when I got head first into that game, met the Signal Auto guys, was like, Oh, and sorry, it was that same year I went out to California to the D1 driver search. Also didn't do well there. Same thing, underpowered, not fully prepared. But when I got out here, that's when I saw guys like Gucci, Reese Millen, Sam Hubenet, and those guys all had nice cars, and they had like some sponsors on them, and it was actually looking like a pretty proper event and cars, and there was obviously the D1 guys were over here, and so that's when I was like, I'm packing my stuff up and moving to California, and that was 15 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so lots of people, including myself, look up to you.
Thanks, dog.
And
I look up to you too, dude.
No, you okay? Thank you, Chris. High five. But I like if you could give some of these guys that are on the edge of trying to go drifting or thinking about should I put money into this or is this for me, like what because you inspired me. I was gonna do it either way, but you definitely inspired me, and I know you would have good words for some people and like some advice that they would listen to. What would you say?
Tough question, because it all goes back to like what's your position, like because some people are coming into the sport with some money, so they don't have to stress too much about getting the right equipment to get out there. Some people are worried about getting anything with 4 wheels to get out to the track, and so are you trying to just like go grassroots, or are you trying to go pro? There's definitely different avenues.
I'm asking maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. They all have their own opinion. I don't know what it is till they comment. But
what's your opinion already?
Come on, guys, tell us. But I was thinking like a guy that probably is just gonna go grassroots. Let him decide that later. But like,
I mean, either way, like the one thing I tell everyone is seat time. So many people get hung up with builds and trying to build the biggest, baddest car, whether or not they have $10 or $10,000 coming in. For their first car, it's
get
like
out there basically,
just
and get
anything that runs, and so
So hear that, you guys? Don't build like an LS 500 horsepower car until later. Go get seat time with an underpowered car and momentum, and just make it happen.
Yep, I know too many guys that want to get into drifting, and they build like a Pro 2 level car, and then you're struggling with setup and mechanical failures and things. If you buy just some sort of old beater, put this whatever size tire you have to so they spin, and get out to the track. First 3 mods on any cars, I would say diff seat coilovers. Diff, because you have to lock up the rear wheels. If you got a couple bucks, buy a diff. If not, just weld the damn thing. Seat, which a lot of people put off, but it's very important, because as you're learning how to drift, you're really flopping around the car, you're spinning out, you're knocking back and forth. Yeah, and so like you're smacking your knees, and you're trying to hold on to the wheel instead of actually sitting in the car. So seat is very important. It goes further than almost any mod that people do right off the bat. And so get yourself in the position, your feet are locked into the pedals, your arms locked into the wheel, you can control the car no matter how good or bad it's set up. And then coilovers, it'll just lower center of gravity, take a lot of the slop out, and those are the best 3 bangs for your buck out the gate.
So listen to this guy, he's been doing it forever. That's true.
How old do you think I am, man?
27.
All right, you're close. 28.
All right, last question. What makes you rad, Chris?
Oh man, hang out with you this much.
No.
I'm working on my mullet, man. It's getting long, dude.
No, like rad as in, like what makes you unique?
Oh, man.
Besides 14 years of like pro drifting and all the like man of many cars, but what makes you unique?
I would say because like a lot of people have their own driving style, and I guess my biggest thing about my driving would be just consistency. Being able to find the line and drive that line like all day, every day is like the thing that I strive for. Is more of perfection instead of like shooting for 11 every run, because those are the guys that make mistakes. And so just driving within your limits all the time.
I might be that guy sometime.
You'll find it.
Yeah. Hey guys, you ever seen a lot of trophies before? So Chris,
That's not bad.
what makes you rad?
I don't know. I guess I've been doing this for a while.
Have you
Maybe the other 3 trophies in the garage, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. This is like insane. Oh my gosh.
You'll get there, dog. You keep at it.
I don't know if I can live that long to get this many trophies.
Once again, how old do you think I am?
Well, but like,
75.
he's 27. Oh no, he's a little bit older.
I've gotten one every year. It's been a long time.
Oh my gosh, that's cool. All right, well that was Chris Forsberg and a little bit of time with him. Thanks for the interview.
Yeah, dog.
All right, guys, don't forget to subscribe and more stuff coming your way. Check out the merch on Rad Store. All right, later.